Hey everyone, happy Sunday to you. I hope all is well. We are cruising through this thing really quickly, and I know I say that every week, but we really are on the back nine now. So here we are, week 11. We stay in chapter 6 in counseling in a treatment setting, and we talk about ethical guidelines in group counseling. I worked at a treatment setting, easy for me to say. I worked in a treatment setting for 8 years of my career, and overall, it was a wonderful experience. I loved it. And I think anybody that's going to work with this population needs to experience that. Because you will be asking people to go. You will be presenting that opportunity for them. Some willingly, some with pushback. But you need to be educated on the process. And I just think, as I like to say, it's a good way to cut your teeth as an LCDC. Treatment setting versus private practice is a very different process altogether. When you're counseling in a treatment setting, most of it's group work. There's certainly some individual work, but the majority are groups, education groups, process groups, specific support groups, trauma groups, all those kinds of grief and loss groups, those kinds of things. Every treatment center is a little different in what they offer there. But I want you to consider this, and I kind of touched on this in the beginning of the semester, that, when we think of counseling, most of us think of this, the one-on-one interaction or the group facilitation. And certainly that is counseling, but that's going to become the easier part of your job at some point, right? I can remember working in the treatment center when that was my favorite part of the day was my interaction with the clients. But there's a whole lot more to being an LCDC than that. We're educators, we're facilitators, we're certainly counselors, we're case managers, we're discharge planners. We do a lot of things. Documentation, we got to stay at case conceptualization. We have to stay on top of our treatment planning, those type of things. And all of that is part of helping your client. Being punctual with group times, ending group on time, being respectful of everybody's time, being on time for yourself when you say you're going to be there, right? If you say we're going to have this session, you need to be available. And, I know we all have lives and things happen in our lives, but, those clients are depending on us. So all of that's part of being a counselor. And it's a wonderful experience in a treatment setting. I loved every minute of it. I loved most minutes of it. Certainly a wonderful experience. Again, I think everybody should have. So moving forward though, we're down to the last 4 or 5 weeks here after that. You have your last external meeting, which is a choice between Celebrate or Refuge. I probably won't do a video next week, and I'll just tell you a little bit about those two today. And then I'll do a video the following week, wrapping it up and comparing all of the programs. But Celebrate Recovery, you have a choice of Celebrate or Refuge. Celebrate is a 12-step program, uses the same 12 steps as AA or NA. But instead of it's a Christian-based program. They use Christian principles and philosophies. So instead of saying higher power or God as you understand him, they say here is the Christian God. And here's the biblical principle behind the steps. They're usually at a church. They're a little bit longer meetings. There's usually some sort of testimonial. Sometimes there's like some kind of potluck dinner thing. That's been my experience at a lot of them. And then they separate into gender-specific groups. And one of the things is they don't use the labels. They're very much like smart in that regard. They don't believe in labeling addict or alcoholic. They say if you have hurts, habits, or hang-ups, you're welcome here. So I do like that piece. I like all the programs, as you know. Then you have Refuge, which is a 12-step program based on principles and ideals of Buddhism. They usually start with a 20-minute meditation. And that's not for everybody. For some people, they love it. For others, they don't. I have several people in Refuge. They don't use the labels either, so it's a little more broad. But all of them are wonderful. Now, clearly, if you have someone that is got some hang-ups with religion in some way, you're not going to recommend Celebrate to them. Doesn't make it a bad program, just means it's not for them. But it's still our job to know about these programs, because the flip side of that is if you have somebody that expresses that interest, that may be a great resource, right? But you need to know about their facilities, their philosophies and ideals and logistics of how they run their programs, just like all the others. So yeah, I would tell you that my hope is this: is that whichever one of the two you choose to go to for this last paper or this last meeting as a requirement for this course, I hope you choose to go to the other program outside of this class. Because again, it's very helpful for your clients. It'll make you a better clinician knowing about these things. So, like I said, I'll do a video the following week with our wrap up when you do your summary of your DB, and then you're down to 3 assignments after that. Your last quiz, and then your last DB on where we wrap all of this up, where it's matching clients to self-help groups. And then your last paper, which is a super easy, just personal reflection paper. What'd you take away from this course? How do you think it's going to help you be an LCDC? Yeah, guys, so we're really on the back 9 of this thing. My hope is that you'll take a look at your points. And, in the syllabus, it's laid out pretty clearly how many points you need to pass and to get each grade. And you should know by now how the grading goes in here. And there's extra credits still available. You got about 4 more weeks to do that. Like I said, that's there if you want to do it. But be paying attention to your point totals. Don't wait till the last minute. And lastly, I just want to clarify some things. It's in the syllabus, but I've had several of you that have not turned in work and then come back and want to turn in that work. And, you have to communicate with me for that. The only thing I'll accept late are papers, and you'll get half credit for those. It's laid out in your syllabus. I discussed it in our original video. But DBs you can't make up because they're meant to be an interaction with your peers. And if everybody else has already moved on, there's no interaction. So that said, just be mindful of those things and keep grinding. Most of you are doing a wonderful job in here. And as always, if I can be of some kind of assistance, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. So again, next week I won't do a video. I will do an announcement. And give me a week or so. I don't think it's ever taken me a week to grade your papers, but give me a couple days and then those papers will be graded. But again, this week I look forward to your DBs, and then we'll talk soon, guys.